I'm just ready to talk about all of the books. Hello there fellow viewer, my name is Gabriel and today I'm bringing you my reading highlights for this past year of 2015. Now 2015 was such a great year, and not only in reading terms, but let's stick to the literary high points of my past year. I read so many amazing books this year. I got to know so many amazing characters and travel with them through such amazingly, richly written worlds and plots. Just amazingness. I started some pretty amazing series and I further continued with past series that had really touched me, and so I am just ready to talk. These books will not be in any particular order. These are just the books that I will be looking back on and saying, wow, I really like those books. These are books that I have read this year. These are not books that have been published this year. So I really hope you enjoy them. Let's get started. The first book I want to mention is This Shattered World by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. If you guys have been on my channel for any amount of time, then you know that I love these books so much. They are so precious to me. If I'm going to be honest, I was worried This Shattered World wasn't going to live up to These Broken Stars, because These Broken Stars is one of my favorite books ever. I love it so much, you know. It's just, it's great. By the time I read This Shattered World, I had already read These Broken Stars 3 times, and I'm probably not the only one that thinks that when you read a book, you feel so much closer to the characters and to the story. That is exactly what happened to me, and so I was just scared that This Shattered World wasn't going to live up to the glory of These Broken Stars. But let me tell you, wow. I love this book so much. This was not only on par, but maybe better than These Broken Stars. It was so good. These two new protagonists are just so amazing, but they're different and original in their own way. They have nothing to do with Tarver and Lilac. The story is just equally fascinating and well built. Definitely different from These Broken Stars, so if you didn't enjoy that book so much, I definitely suggest that you jump into this one, because even though we have some elements from the past book, it's its own thing. In case you don't know, these are the first and second book in the Starbound trilogy. Each of them follows 2 different protagonists who meet under dire and very unfortunate circumstances, who hate each other at first, but then slowly and beautifully start to fall in love with each other. In this specific installment, we see Jubilee, who is a
general, right? Captain.
Who is a captain of armed forces in this specific planet, and Flynn is kind of the leader of the rebels that they're fighting. Ultimately, they reach the conclusion that they're fighting for the same thing, and so just, it's beautiful. And if you didn't enjoy These Broken Stars that much, I definitely recommend that you keep going with this series. Even though there is a stronger science fiction element in this book, it's great. Okay, gotta stop talking. Then I'm going to mention the first and second books in the Grisha trilogy, Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm, both by Leigh Bardugo. I read Shadow and Bone in January, Siege and Storm in March, and I love them so much. I'm going to say that I was immensely surprised at how much I loved Shadow and Bone. It is so unique, it is so original. This was my very first young adult fantasy book, and I was not let down. This is definitely the way to go if you're looking for an introduction to the genre. Although some people might argue that there are better ways to jump into young adult fantasy, I disagree. This book was so great. Siege and Storm, its sequel, wasn't as amazing, but it was still epic. A pretty big misunderstanding went down and Ruin and Rising never reached my doorstep, so unfortunately I haven't gotten to that. Hopefully this next year, because I love these 2 books. Shadow and Bone follows the Alina Starkov, and Alina Starkov is a Grisha. Grisha are these people who have special powers and can maneuver and control certain elements, certain aspects of the world around them. Alina doesn't know that she's a Grisha, and not only is she one of these special people, she is the strongest among them. A little cliche, but actually not, because the book is amazing. The leader of the Grisha, who are also the kingdom's second army, the first army being, you know, regular men, discovers Alina and asks her to defeat this great evil that has separated the continent for a very long time. It is amazing, it is epic, I loved it. Now, the next few books that I'm going to mention are definitely the highlight of 2015. These books have become my favorites. Like, I can safely say this is my favorite young adult series of all time as of right now, and those are my Marissa Meyer babies. I read Scarlet, Cress, Ferris, and Winter this year. My highlights were definitely these 3. Scarlet was okay, but Cress and Winter and Ferris were just everything swoon worthy. It was just These are epic books. Ferris is the most twisted and amazing villain backstory that I have ever witnessed in a fictional world, and I really liked it. Cress I've already read twice because I couldn't resist rereading this book. It was just so amazing. Winter, I finished this month, and just, whoa. What a way to end the series. My previous video is a book talk on Winter, so if you've read that, be sure to go check it out and discuss it with me, because it is definitely worth discussing. And again, I love Cress. I have to say that I think Cress is just a little bit higher than Winter, but they are so amazing. And now, in case you don't know, which I find highly unlikely, what these wonderful books are about, these are the third and fourth book in the Lunar Chronicles. Ferris being the prequel. Cinder and Scarlet are the first and second. And let me tell you, these books are amazing. You know, I'm pretty sure we stressed that enough. They take place in a futuristic Earth. And in this futuristic Earth, people have colonized the moon, hence the Lunar Chronicle. The moon is ruled by none other than our villain Levana. And Levana is this really demented, psychopathic ruler who wants everyone to love her by force. Each book introduces a new protagonist, and the way that they all meld wonderfully into the same story. Not only that, but they also retell a specific fairy tale. So Cinder, Cinderella, Scarlet, Red Riding Hood, Cress, Rapunzel, and Winter, Snow White. So it's the stuff of legend, these books. And I love them to the moon and back. 2015 was definitely the year of the Lunar Chronicles for me. Those books are just amazing. I am obviously going to mention the Heroes of Olympus series. I have only read numbers 1 through 3 of these books, but I love them so much. Jumping back into the Percy Jackson world was just amazing. Child me really needed that. I read the Percy Jackson books when I was in 6th grade. I loved them, and now I was finally able to continue with this story. It is amazing. Obviously, you know what Percy Jackson is about. Gods, mortals, demigods, powers, amazing kick-ass adventures and quests and characters and mythological creatures. These books are also the stuff of legend, seen as they retell some legend. I really recommend them. If you think that Percy Jackson is going to be, you know, too kiddie for you, just pick these books up, because you really don't have to read Percy Jackson and the Olympians to get to know these new characters, these new stories. They are amazing. The Mark of Athena is definitely my favorite so far. It was amazing. This book is huge, and it's pretty swoon-worthy. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lab. As soon as I heard the premise for this book, I was immediately intrigued. This girl is born with the wings of a bird, and that's just it. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm completely obsessed with anything that has wings. It's been a really weird obsession since I was a little kid, especially people with wings. A book that tells the story of a girl who is just born with wings in the middle of the normal world. It called to me. It needed to be read by my eyes. Ultimately, this isn't just the magical realism that the book gives away. This is a story about love and the things that people do for love and the scars that love bears upon you. The book is heartbreaking at times. Hard to read these characters' stories, but in the end, it is worth it because our protagonist is able to love herself, and it's amazing. It is an adult book, if I'm not mistaken, and I really think that you should pick it up. It is very different from anything I've ever read, and maybe it's not most people's style, but I still recommend you pick it up, even if it's just for the story. It is amazing, and I loved it. The Kiss of Deception by Mary A. Pierce, another book that I just had to read based on the summary. I'm pretty sure you've seen this around. I read this back in January, and I remember it being so good. Our protagonist Leah is a princess who is going to be married off like some puppet to a prince in another kingdom. She just goes, no, I've had enough, I don't want to be a puppet, I'm gonna run away. Before her wedding day, she decides to flee and settle down in a quiet town. She makes some friends, and everything is going fine until two handsome men come into her life. Little does she know that one of them is an assassin sent to kill her, and another one is the prince that she was supposed to marry. It's so well done. The book has a pretty slow pace, but it's still worth it. It ends so well. I really want to get to The Heart of Betrayal, the sequel, this next year, because this book was so good, and I really recommend it. There is an amazing unexpected plot twist, so pick it up. And the last book I want to mention is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rash. This book was also a highlight for me. Following Shadow and Bone, it was my second young adult fantasy, and this is also the way to go for young adult fantasy. This is amazing. This world is unlike anything that I've ever read about. It is so well constructed. The author did such an amazing job. In this world, the 4 seasons are a kingdom. We have winter, summer, autumn, and spring. These kingdoms are kind of at war because summer just up and decided to conquer them all. Our protagonist is Mira. Mira is an orphan, and she is one of the very, very few people who survived the King of Summer's siege on winter. She is a Winterian, and she is just striving to take back her kingdom. This book tells the story of her gathering her forces, trying out alliances to see if they can overrule the King of Summer, whose name I appear to have forgotten. We also have a pretty attaching and emotional love triangle. Usually you have a love triangle like, no, I want her to stay with that one. But in this case, I'm kind of conflicted because both of them are pretty good choices. I'm experiencing the same thing in Throne of Glass. So yes, Snow Like Ash is really great. I forgot to mention, but I have book talks for pretty much all of these books, and I will be leaving them down below, as well as a playlist to all of them. A book that I ended recently, and I'm almost halfway through its sequel, is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And this is probably a book series that will be included in my 2016 favorites. As of right now, it's not something that I overly love. Throne of Glass was great, I really liked it, but it wasn't that thing that I was expecting it to be. Everyone hypes it up so much. So far, Crown of Midnight is pretty engaging. I like that when I'm not reading it, I want to go read it. So we'll see. By the time I finish Heir of Fire, maybe Queen of Shadows, and probably the next book that's going to come out next year, it is going to be a favorite. So stay tuned for my rambling about this series next year. Be also tuned for my book talks on these books because they are coming soon. And those are all my reading highlights of 2015. Some pretty amazing books came my way, and I'm so thankful that I got to read them, that I got to own them. Here's to another amazing book-filled literary wonders 2016, okay? What are some of your favorite books of this year? Let's discuss. Do you agree with my favorites? Did you like winter? Of course you liked winter. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you stay tuned for my next videos, and remember to keep your 2016 an amazingly bookish one. Goodbye!